Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. The markets are breaking out, Bitcoin is continuing to go higher, and as that's going on, we're seeing altcoins breaking out along with it. Altcoins are leaving over a 500-day accumulation range, so for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 of my favorite picks, ones that I think are going to continue to play well going into this next cycle, ones that are already showing strength and most likely will continue to do so, and how to go about making the most money off of them over the course of the next few months. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, taking a look at Bitcoin, and every single day that passes is another day that Bitcoin trends higher. So far, all we've done inside of this entire consolidation is maintaining the ascending support and continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. Every single time that it looks like it might be bearish, we always get a new buy candle that steps in and kind of saves the trend. And so as it stands, guys, what I've noticed personally is that there's a significant amount of people that are still waiting for some type of correction to get in, and that's when they've been waiting to buy, only for the market to really provide none, small ones, as we're ultimately building higher highs and higher lows on this much higher and steeper ascending support. So as this is happening, I'm seeing a lot of people that are positioned in the opposite way. They're still waiting for a dip. They're feeling like they're offsides, and that's generally what you're going to see towards the end part of a much bigger breakout. And it doesn't have to be towards the end part, but once you see a breakout, like, you guys got to keep in mind, we spent 200 days, right, inside of this range, over 220 days before we broke out. Now that we're breaking out, I don't find it unlikely at all that we're just going to continue to trend higher and make a much bigger breakout to the upside. All of the people that are positioned off sides that are still waiting for a dip are not going to get it, and the market tends to have its way of being able to, leave people behind and have people thinking that, because we spent 200 days correcting and we went through all of that up and down price action, that it's inevitable we would see a correction back down, only for the market to kind of leave people in the dust. And so that's what I'm looking for next, is for the potential of us hitting our next high being about 40K. And if that happens, I think that there's going to be a ton more profit flowing into altcoins as a whole. Already Bitcoin looks very, very strong. Seeing us break out of this 200-day range, I honestly think that this gives us plenty of time for us to come all the way back up to 48,500, being this high right here. I do think that we could see a correction though, like I've talked about, seeing a move back down, having some type of funky price action before we end up getting to that high is almost to be expected. But big picture, seeing us move to that high after this 200-day accumulation and our first true higher high to begin the new bull trend, that's the most important thing, guys. We have all the confirmation in the world that we needed. Now we're starting to see more action inside of the altcoins. So now for the rest of this video, we're going to be talking about 3 of the best ones inside of the market and giving you guys some clues as to what is going to happen moving forward from here. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off the altcoins, and today we're going to be talking about Chainlink. We talked a lot about Chainlink for the last few months, this entire bear market bottom. We've talked about Chainlink all the way back in 2019 at the beginning of this first cycle, and Chainlink is one that I've always believed in long term because of the fact it does something so important inside of the market. Because of Chainlink, we're actually able to transfer data between centralized and decentralized applications, and having this ability brings in so much new wealth opportunities inside of the DeFi space, and it's really because of Chainlink that DeFi exists. So when we're looking at markets, it's always something that comes into the market that revolutionizes things, right? There was Bitcoin, and then once Bitcoin came onto scene for a little while, then we had Ethereum that came on. That allowed for more infrastructure than ever before, allowed smart contracts, allowed people to build their own decentralized applications, and it really propelled crypto even further. Then what we're talking about was, what the heck is that next revolutionary thing? And to me, it really is centered in DeFi. And if you look at the center of DeFi, what is the heart of it? What really makes it work? It's all Chainlink, and the reason why is because they have to be able to process data between centralized, decentralized, and have to be able to share that data amongst itself inside of their other DeFi protocols and applications so that they can be able to see proper price feeds. To see the true price feeds, you have to have live data, you have to have real-time data, and at the time of Chainlink, we hadn't really been able to until Chainlink came on scene. So seeing Chainlink making this big breakout is to be expected. We spent 500 days inside of this range here, about 530, 520 days inside of this range going sideways after a 90% correction from the all-time highs. This happened, all of this sideways price action, I was constantly telling you guys that this was ultimately going to be bullish as long as we continue to hold support, and we did. The entire time we maintained support. We had one fake out attempt by the bears here. Now that we've broken out of the resistance, this shows a much bigger move is in its place. And so I've seen people that are talking about already taking profits. For me, when I'm looking at it, you know, it's enticing because we spent all of this time going sideways, not really doing anything. The market's finally breaking out. If you were holding and buying from all the way down in here, you're already up over double. And so it gets exciting. It gets a little bit hard to be able to hold through all of that. But when I'm looking at this big picture, you know, and I'm looking at Bitcoin, seeing the potential of Bitcoin coming all the way up to 48,500, we're not even quite there yet. So even if Chainlink pulls back here, I still think that this is going to go up much higher. And even in the short term, we might see this thing extend up a lot higher than people realize. You know, we have this first lower high being about $18, and that's kind of been my first target for Chainlink going into this next run. And so when I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing Bitcoin making this very strong case for further upside potential, you know, just maintaining this steep ascending support, I honestly think that if Bitcoin breaks up even further and goes to 40K, then Chainlink itself is going to $18. So I don't want to sell anything right here. I think that we just broke the 500 plus day range. We don't want to get too carried away taking a lot of profits, because this is the period where we've been waiting for, right? This is the period where we're going to experience a lot more markup. I think minimally we go to $18. If Bitcoin goes to 40 here, I think that Chainlink is going to $18 at the minimum. We'll probably see a pullback of some kind, come back down to $12, $10, something like that. And then that should set us in for that final high that we're going to have. However big that is. I don't want to get into that. I feel like I'm just trying to predict price too far from that. But what we're looking at here is just speculation as far as what the potential price is going to look like. If we see Bitcoin run up here to 40K, which, let me zoom out a little bit so it's easier to see. Remember, 40K is right here. This entire move right there. So if we come up to 40K, if we come all the way up to 40K, a small correction of some kind back down, maybe even to where we're at right now, won't surprise me, and it probably shouldn't surprise any of you guys either. If we end up seeing one more final high after that, that final high going all the way up here to 48,500, then at that point, we would expect to see Chainlink to follow some type of same corrective move, right? And that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for moving forward from here. I think the best time to take profits for Chainlink is $18 at the minimum if you're going to be taking profits. Even if we get a little correction down in here, to me, I don't care, because I've been holding this thing since all the way back in here in 2019. So it's like, I have no problem just maintaining this long-term hold. That's something I've already been doing. If I can stomach a 90% correction, there's no real point in trying to get heavy profit taking as we just began the new cycle for these altcoins. So imagine if this thing ends up catching people off guard. We run up here, flip this level, and make some crazy blow off top all the way up to like $35, $40. At that point, that's when you're going to start feeling really bad about the fact that you sold. And, you know, it might take a little while before we ever get to that point. It might be all the way towards the end of the next year before we're ever flipping these all-time highs. But once we flip these and go into a new cycle, you're going to feel real bad about the fact that you sold at these smaller levels down in here just because of the fact you were sick of just because you got sick of holding through all of that bear market, all of that sideways accumulation. Don't be that guy. Big picture, the best thing to do is hold the majority of your portfolio long term. And these are the things that I've been thinking, considering the fact I've been holding Chainlink long term forever and ever. It's been one of my biggest investments for the entirety of these cycles. So when I'm looking at this, I'm personally focused long term, and that's my opinion as far as where we're going to see Chainlink moving, at least in the short term from here. And then next up on today's list is going to be Solana. Solana, I don't think is maybe the best risk to reward buy right now, but when we're talking about these things, when we're looking at some of the better performing altcoins, we're seeing altcoins that are now leaving accumulation. So if we're comparing Solana and Ethereum to their first cycles, to me it looks exactly the same. They made the same build-up phase. This went to an ascending triangle before Ethereum's final blow off top. Now, this did the similar sort of pattern. It wasn't an ascending triangle, it was actually a descending triangle, but it still broke bullish and went into that final blow off top. Both of those setups look exactly the same. Now, coming down after the cycle top here, we come all the way back down, make this big lower high, leading into a final sort of capitulation in the cycle. And the exact same thing happened with Ethereum in that cycle as well. So what we saw was the exact same setup for the most part. Almost the exact same sort of price structure from the bottom of the cycle in Ethereum all the way over to the next peak bottom before we started that next uptrend was 450 days. So when we're looking and comparing with Solana, the peak low was here. Where we're at right now is 315 days. So we haven't even finished the true bottom structure. But the big thing we need to remember here is even though it looks the exact same all the way through, this cycle is going to be a little bit different going into this next major run. And what's interesting is if we end up following what Ethereum did, our minimum target would basically be like $75, right at the very bottom of support at this lower high. And so that would be the next move coming if we were to follow the exact same sort of price structure as what Ethereum did, because Ethereum came and retested the very bottom of that lower high. Now, I also think that a level, just a big general level that we could watch for is there to also kind of the very top of this high right before our final blow off top. And so if we do end up making, you know, a rather large sort of move in here, don't be surprised if we come all the way back up to like $75. For us to come all the way to the top of that lower high at 145, it would mean, you know, Bitcoin did something really crazy. Solana had some, you know, there would just have to be a lot of unforeseen adoption coming into the market, considering how big of a move off of the lows that would be. I think that there would be a lot more institutional involvement if that was the case. There would be a lot more media talking about it if that was the case. And it is possible, don't get me wrong. We could definitely see that big picture. But I just think that that's, you know, at this point, at least beginning the early breakouts, that's a little bit more unreasonable. We have a few more resistance levels that we need to get above. You know, we did just flip this first one, basically being like this $40 level. So if we get this next high, don't be surprised if it actually ends up taking us all the way up to these valuations. So Solana, moving forward, I still think this is very bullish. You know, I still think that there's more upside potential. Probably not the best risk to reward buy in this moment. I think that there's better buys out there. But this is one that's leading the market. We're seeing the high caps taking off. Every single time to begin a cycle, that's what happens. The certain high caps are going to take off. These ones have only had one cycle, right? So what we've seen so far is a lot of new altcoins taking off, a lot of new cryptos that haven't had any prior bull runs. We're seeing them kind of outperforming so far. But as we begin the majority of the cycle, high caps will generally lead the first of the bull run. And so as we're seeing these ones breaking out, these are the ones that are going to lead going into the next cycle. Not all high cap cryptos from prior cycles are going to continue to maintain support, continue to trend upwards. Some of them are going to die out, and that's just the way the cycles work. But with Solana already breaking out and showing such strength, in my opinion, that points that it's going to have a strong cycle moving forward from here. And I think Chainlink is also showing the same thing. Even though, you know, maybe a lot of other ones aren't, these ones are. That tells me that they're still going to maintain a lot of adoption moving forward from here. Now let's talk about the final one on today's video, and that is Dogecoin. Now, I never was a big Dogecoin fan. I always thought people that were, you know, big time invested into it were kind of silly. And then I was proven wrong once Elon Musk kind of pumped this thing over 100x. And so when we're looking at this, we got to keep in mind that anything is possible. And now with what I see with Dogecoin, I see another good cycle opportunity. And I think it still has just as good a gains. I mean, not quite, considering the fact it went up 100x, but it still has very good upside potential. From where we're at right now, if we were to come all the way back up to the top of that lower high, we're looking at almost a 4x type of a move. So it still has a lot of upside potential, and I think that it still has plenty of, you know, upside because of the fact we have Elon Musk that is now promoting X as an investment banking social media app, all kind of in one, comparing it more to their Chinese social media app over there. And so when we're looking at that, we got to keep in mind that Twitter or X is going to be changing, and it's going to adopt payment systems, and we got to think that maybe that could be Dogecoin. And if that happens, it's really the sky's the limit for Dogecoin, because it'd be the first time it had any sort of real adoption aside from Elon Musk just talking about it. He's already been approved for a banking license, so that's already happened. That's already approved with X. Do you imagine the power that social media combined with a cryptocurrency could have? And if this was the true payment system of Twitter, I really think that the upside potential of this could be very big. And then the short term is mainly where I'm talking, although I do see plenty of opportunity long term as well. When I'm looking at Dogecoin, it's been through a very long accumulation, and it has one of the more obvious bottoms, and it's one that hasn't really broken out in a big way. It's over 512 days. It's always lagged a little bit behind the rest of the market, and so seeing it now just at the beginning stages of this move, don't be surprised if it ends up going much higher than people realize. You know, this is one where the top of this lower high in accumulation is already 15 cents. So if we saw a breakout above that move, which really could happen, even though it seems a little bit crazy right now, a move all the way above that level and a retest would actually be a big picture double bottom breakout. And so that wouldn't be unheard of. It would look a lot like Bitcoin did in 2015 when it finished its double bottom breakout. And if that was the case, you know, we would see a reversal potentially all the way up to 36 cents as well. Like I said, guys, it really depends on what happens with Bitcoin. The more upside Bitcoin sees, the more money that can actually come into these altcoins as well. So looking at all of these, I don't think that the breakout's going to be instant, but we have to remember that at the beginning of every one of these cycles, once the bottom's in, the breakout comes pretty quickly. And that's what I'm talking about when we're seeing Solana. You know, all of these have broken out to the upside pretty significantly, pretty quickly. Looking at Chainlink, once they leave the 500-day accumulation, they really start to take off in a big way. So when we're watching Dogecoin, I think that this is just the one out of all of those that's kind of lagging in the same way it always does all of the prior cycles before it. And when we're looking at it long term, everything we've needed to see for a breakout has pretty much happened. Looking at the long-term downtrend on the log, we broke out of that right here in this move. We've been on this similar sort of downtrend ever since then. But when we look at this lower high over this one, we've now broken from that one as well. So really all of our descending resistance has now been broken, no matter what way you look at it, whether you draw it from these ones, whether you draw it from these ones here, they've all been broken with this most recent move. So I do see a lot more upside potential in Dogecoin than people are giving it credit for, and it really only takes a couple things to send this thing breaking out to the upside. It's just interesting to me that when we're zooming out on a big picture, the bottom of Dogecoin has a significant ROI potential, because like I stated, from where we're at here, just to the top of the range, you're looking at double your money. And this isn't a high cap crypto. That's stuff that's really unheard of in other markets, and that's why I'm, really focusing in on this as being a really good potential first cycle hold as we begin the early stages of this. Because if we did have a run all the way up to the top of this B wave, you're looking at almost a 4x. You're looking at a breakout of this high being a 1.5, almost 2x opportunity depending on where it goes. So I just think that this is a good one to hold long term. When we're looking at this even on a bigger picture time frame, what I see going into this next cycle is just a big picture wave 5. This was our wave 1, this was our wave 3, and I think we're at the bottom of wave 4 before we make that final sort of cycle high. And who knows, it can keep going up from there. I'm just saying that what it looks like on an Elliott wave perspective, because this is all the way at the very beginning of this cycle, all the way at the very beginning here when Dogecoin was worth almost nothing. So the Elliott waves show this being just a big 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're at the very bottom of that wave 4. So as we're at the bottom of this one's got a lot of upside potential. It's got a lot backing it fundamentally. It's one of the high cap cryptos that's always performed relatively well, especially to begin the new cycle. As we're seeing some of these other ones breaking out, ones that are showing more adoption is probably going to happen big picture as they begin their next cycle. Remember, these have only finished one. They finished the bull run, they finished the bear market, and now we're starting to leave that. So any big high cap crypto that you're seeing starting to lead the market, in my opinion, points to which ones are going to see the most upside long term. And I'm really excited that that's what we're seeing so far. Keep in mind, some of them are lagging. We still haven't seen all of them breaking out yet, so looking forward to that big picture. This is one that I'm really watching for, and that is Dogecoin. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys want to join my Discord server and actually see how I'm investing my money, what I'm buying, selling, trading, NFTs, DeFi, anything stocks, commodities outside of crypto as well. You guys are going to be able to join that. If you guys want to join that, you can go to my website, link down below in the description of this video. If you guys find that, it's just a one-time payment, one-time payment, lifetime access. You're always going to know what I'm buying and trading as long as I'm investing inside of markets, crypto, stocks, anything. I'm going to do it all. Check it out. Thank you guys so much for the support. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.